Good morning, everybody. It is another Monday, which means you get another Marketing Monday live stream from me, Ruthie Bowles, founder and chief authority marketing strategist of Defy the Status Quo. And so today I've got something kind of hot off the presses for you. So thank you so much for joining me today. And before we jump into today's topic, which is LinkedIn stories, I wanted to know, what is one thing that you are grateful for today? I I asked this question in my Facebook group, the Defiant Business group, over the weekend and got some really nice answers. And I'm so washed out with all this brightness. Okay. So it's been a little bit of a weird morning for me just because this morning I found out that one of the soldiers I deployed with died in their sleep 4 days ago. And they're still waiting to find out why. And she was only a year older than me. And we were both really young when we deployed. And um, so I guess today I have to, today I just feel extra grateful for being here with you and being here with my family, um, and have just one more day to build something great, to make an impact on somebody, to give something of myself. um we hadn't really stayed too much in contact, but we were always really friendly. And yeah, so I guess I'm gonna get an opportunity to kind of sit with that and sit with those feelings later today. And you know what? Even though I'm sad, I'm actually really grateful for that too. So, yes. Hey, Sylvia. So glad you are here. All right. So if you are watching this live, Marketing Monday live stream, if you're watching this live, go ahead and drop hashtag live in the comments. If you're watching this as a replay, go ahead and put hashtag replay. But we're going to go ahead and get into it because just last week, I believe it was on Thursday evening, I opened up LinkedIn on my phone, and lo and behold, what did I see? I had LinkedIn stories. Now, LinkedIn has been rolling out LinkedIn stories in different countries for the last several months, Australia and Brazil being two, I think, that I remember. Um, but just on Thursday, and not even the whole of Thursday, because y'all know I was on LinkedIn, but just on Thursday evening, I saw that I had LinkedIn stories, and I was actually pretty pumped, which is interesting because I never really did a whole lot with LinkedIn stories on Instagram, or at least got much from it. So, um, yes, I'm grateful for you too, Sylvia. um, but yeah, so LinkedIn stories, guys, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so I'm going to walk you through how to create a LinkedIn story, which, if you've used Instagram or Facebook stories, not too hard, but I'm going to walk through it anyway. And then we're going to talk about what your LinkedIn stories should be about and how you can use them to connect and or stay connected with your network. Okay, so how do you create a LinkedIn story? It is, once you have LinkedIn stories, it's actually not super hard to figure out, but we're going to walk through it anyway. So let me just move my head over here. So, okay, so it's weird right now because I gotta, okay. Okay, so this is where it is. Do you see it? Yeah, this is what I saw when I opened it up on Thursday. Well, this is what I saw when I opened it up this morning, but this was how I knew I had LinkedIn stories. You could click story. It's so funny. But also the other thing I want you to notice here is that there are people here. So just like on Instagram, you can like scroll it, to your left. In this case, you would scroll it to your left and you can pick different people here to see, what it is that you want to see. And so the other reason why this is valuable is because every time you comment or react to somebody's story, it starts a new message, right? It starts a new direct message. So that's good. So when you want to make a new story, you just push that there, right? So right now I need to make some new stories for Monday. But yeah, you just push that right there, and that is how you will open the story. And this is what you will see if you flip the if you flip the camera around. then you will see this. You'll see this. This is actually kind of fun. I feel goofy, but this is fun. So yeah, so this is what you'll see. And so important thing to note here. So we're here. I could push the camera button. Where's my finger? I could push the camera button right there, right? Or I could hold it. I could hold it to record a little video. So I think the videos are like 20 or 30 seconds. Um, or if you've recorded a different video, you can push this button here and do your gallery. So like when I make TikToks that are like 15 seconds, they actually fit really well right in here if I use that option. And then you can add text using that T button right there. And then the button next to it is stickers. That is where you'll find the option to tag someone. And then LinkedIn's got a question of the day that you can also use to kind of jumpstart your story making. And today's question of the day is, what is your morning routine? So I actually have a pretty nice morning routine. So I will be making a story about that using that sticker. Now, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Um, in terms of making the story. So you could also use that button, the camera button, and just take a picture, right? So I've done that too. But I like the little video clips. I like the little video clips, things are moving around. So now you know how to create one. What should your LinkedIn stories be about? What should your LinkedIn stories be about? So I am a huge fan of like quick tips, um, behind the scenes peeks, behind the scenes. I think what I meant to say was like sneak peeks and behind the scenes info. So somebody last week in my on my LinkedIn posted a little video clip explaining how her cat brought her a snake during her LinkedIn live. And so it was behind the scenes. That was kind of cool. So she was letting the snake go. So that snake was super happy to go. And and that is what she did like a LinkedIn live on. And I thought that that was pretty neat. Um, I like to do kind of quick tips myself, and I've been actually doing this for a couple of weeks. But I find things where people are asking questions, whether on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, and I'll create a quick 20-second video responding. Those fit really well as a LinkedIn story. And then also some of the stories that you make on Instagram could be repurposed if you do kind of graphics and tip series or things like that. So a lot of micro content that you may have been making for other platforms, it may be a good opportunity for you to test it here on LinkedIn. I've also heard some complaints. They're like, oh, well, stories like LinkedIn is for business and it's becoming more like Facebook. But I think what it is it depends on the content of your stories. If the content of your stories doesn't really fit in with what you've been putting out on LinkedIn, then yes, that could mess things up. But let's say I had a cat and I took a picture of my cat walking across my keyboard while I was trying to work. A lot of people can empathize with that. And I was trying to work, which arguably is like a behind the scenes business type of post. Actually, I think that happens to Sylvia all the time. Oh, oh, you've never seen a snake? Sylvia says she's never seen a snake outside of the zoo. And I'm like, haha, that's funny. I used to have a snake growing up. I had a pet snake. Um, yeah, yeah. And Sylvia is all about Instagram. So once you get it, like you'll do great. That's the only thing about Instagram. Whenever I use the stories, I feel like I mostly get spammy stuff back. So I'm looking forward to getting some real interaction. And I have from LinkedIn stories so far. So how can you use LinkedIn stories to stay connected? Well, first of all, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are using the feature right now because it's new. So, what I would recommend, maybe even before you create any of your own stories, is to scroll through that top area that I showed you before. Let me bring it back up, this area right here. Scroll through this area and see if you can find people you haven't heard from in a while, or maybe that you never heard from, and see what's in their story. Come up with something thoughtful to say, right? Come up with something thoughtful to say, something in your reaction, it's funny or you loved it, you thought that their tip was interesting, whatever. Come up with something thoughtful to say, because remember, once you do, it will generate, you will pop up in their direct messages in direct response to content that they created. That's a really good position to be in, don't you think? So if you do that, then that could be the start of a conversation. That could be the start of you catching up with someone you haven't talked to in a while, or an old prospect, or a previous network connection. And now you guys get to catch up. Maybe you schedule a Zoom call. So that is how I'm recommending people kind of look at this story option here. So you get to create that content, and other people are scrolling through and they can check out, and then maybe they start the conversation with you. So it works both ways. But my DMs have been crazy, way more active since Thursday when I started posting LinkedIn stories. I've been having more direct message conversations because people are reacting to my stories and I'm reacting and commenting on their stories. So, this, I think, especially right now, like I said, because more people are testing it out, they're trying to figure out what to do with it. This is an opportunity, one, for you to use a new feature to set yourself apart from the pack. You can push it, position yourself more as a leader, because not as many, even though it feels like a lot of people are using it, there's still way more people who aren't because they're not sure what to do with it. So this is an opportunity for you to position yourself as a leader using this new feature that LinkedIn is going to be, pushing, but also for you to start conversations with people that you haven't spoken to in a while. So that is what I have for you today. Let me see what we've got going on in the comments. Let's see. Cats. Sylvia says cats on a keyboard are the cutest, but a bummer too. Yeah, I mean they do that. And thanks, Michelle. I'm glad that you liked it. And then I've had one of my parents. Oh my goodness. So Sylvia just said this. She said that she had a parent's cat text a client's client before. That's rough. That's rough. I could definitely see, like, my kids doing that for sure. For sure. So, yes. So let me know if you have any other questions about LinkedIn stories. Like I said, some people have had reservations, and you know me, I'm not the type of person to push a feature or push a marketing strategy on anyone. But I'm interested to hear what you think. Because I think, based off of this LinkedIn Live, that there is potential here. Even if you don't want to create story content, there is potential here for you to make or reignite connections, especially with people you haven't really talked to who are in your LinkedIn network. I think this is an opportunity for people to go beyond the connection request and go beyond the pitch slap or whatever, and actually use content that someone else has created to start a conversation with them. So please drop your questions. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So Sylvia just pointed this out. It's a great way to connect because it's just like Instagram, where it goes right into the direct messages. And that was exactly my point, is that whenever I react or somebody reacts or comments or whatever, vice versa, it always starts with a direct message, or reignites our direct messaging if we haven't direct messaged in a while. So this is a really good opportunity for you to kind of reconnect and reignite those connections. um yeah, okay, so this person's name is not up, but it's fine. It makes conversations go a lot smoother. Yes, because that's our big thing, is like, what should I do? Like, how do I start a conversation with this person? I'm not sure. But if you're reacting to their story, they've given you the conversation starter. They gave it to you. So all you have to do is poke around and use it. It's not super difficult. New features can be intimidating, but just click on it, scroll through, see what people are posting, comment back. Again, I understand it's like, oh, I don't want LinkedIn to be like Facebook, but if you're feeling like your LinkedIn is becoming a lot more like Facebook, and I think that when people say this, it's not the features they're talking about, it's actually the content. If it's the content, then it sounds like you need to go through and clean up your LinkedIn network. All right. Because my LinkedIn network, like, it's not full of a bunch of people posting, motivational quotes and things like that. The people in my network who post consistently, whose stuff I most consistently engage on, they have really good content that's related to my business, that's helping me think about my mindset, that helps me shift my perspective. And that's the type of content that I try to put out. So if you feel like your LinkedIn is becoming so like Facebook in that the content is useless, you are connected with poor content creators, or content creators who aren't aligned with what you want to see on the platform. So it's not a feature like stories that makes LinkedIn more like Facebook. It's the people that you choose to connect with. So if that's how you're feeling, I think it might be time for a purge and then make use of this LinkedIn stories feature to reignite old connections and to establish new connections with people that you've connected with but haven't actually had a conversation with. So that is what I'm going to leave you with today. Thank you so much for joining me. And please continue putting your questions, your comments, your thoughts. If you've used LinkedIn stories yet, let me know. But yeah, I'd love to answer. Oh, Michelle's got a question. I can't leave without answering that question, especially since I just made the recommendation. So you've been planning on a clean out. Any solid suggestions? Okay. So if you're looking to purge LinkedIn, I would say it would be best to kind of set yourself a plan. So let's say, hey, I'm going to delete 10 people a day for the next 2 weeks, Monday through Friday, right? Because that would be like 100 people. Now, that's modest. If you want to do 20, you certainly could. But one of the things that you're looking for is scroll through your feed. Any content that's useless, click on that person's profile. Check their content, like the stuff they're posting. If it's consistently useless, delete them as a connection. Like that's not going to help you. Them being useless is not going to help you. So that's the first thing. Second thing is if you go into your connections, look for people whose names you don't recognize. That's an easy one. If you don't recognize their name and their tagline, you're like, why did I connect with this person? Although, Michelle, it may be a little harder for you since you're a realtor, but click on their profile. If they never post anything, like, so it looks like they're not even really active on LinkedIn, then they would be a good candidate to delete. If they post useless stuff, they would be a good candidate to delete. Another good place to start also is your DMs. Just scroll through and see who pitch slapped you. If they pitch slapped you, they're probably worth deleting because they pitch slapped you. And then I almost like 90% of the time, they will never comment on any of your stuff. They're not even putting out new content because they're too busy running around pitch slapping everybody. Slap, 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 slap. All right. So that's another good place to look. Look through your DMs, find all the people who pitch slapped you and never contacted you ever again, and go ahead and delete them too. So that's why I said, like, you can kind of do a modest goal because unfortunately, LinkedIn doesn't allow you to say, hey, show me all the people who never comment on anything or who never post any new content. So it's a bit of a manual process to disconnect with people. So once you do it, just make sure you more carefully safeguard your LinkedIn network connections. But that's something I always do. If I'm like, hey, I keep seeing this person's name for useless motivational quotes with no context or anything, then eventually I delete them. I'm like, okay, you get like 3 shots and then you're out of here, right? Like I can find motivational quotes by myself. What I really want to know is why that motivational quote is motivational to you and why you think it should be motivational to me. Share your stories, right? Even with a motivational quote, there is something in there that moved you. At least that's what it should be. And that's why I feel like when we share these quotes, we should share why it matters to us too, right? To give some context and to help people get to know us. But that is a whole nother conversation. So that is what I'm going to leave you with. Michelle, thank you so much for that great question. It's an awesome question. And remember, you only get 30,000 connections on LinkedIn, which sounds like a lot, especially since Facebook only gives you 5,000 friends. But if you fill up your LinkedIn network with 25,000 useless people who post crappy stuff, you're never going to see the great stuff from the 5,000 connections that you do have. Like, you're just not going to see it because those useless people are going to drown them out. So, a lower number of connections. So, like, I'm a couple hundred under 5,000 is more valuable than 30,000 connections of people who never are on LinkedIn, who never post great content. My network is way more valuable than that person's network. All right. So just make sure you're not building like a whole network of people who are never on LinkedIn, who never comment or never post great stuff. So that is what I have for you today. Please leave any of your questions down in the comments. And remember, #live, #replay. And then my question for the day was, what's one thing that you're grateful for today? Because as I mentioned at the beginning, because some of you weren't live with me at the beginning, as I mentioned in the beginning, a soldier I deployed with died in their sleep on just 4 days ago. and they don't know why. And her family is still waiting to hear back. And that made me feel a particular way today. So I was just really grateful to be able to do this with you today. I'm grateful to be here with my family and just make sure you carve out some time every day for the people that matter to you. And yeah, I'm grateful that I still have the opportunity to even do that. So let's go out into the world and leave our mark, grow our businesses, build a legacy. Yes, that's what we're going to do. And I will talk to you all later. Oh, you are so welcome, Michelle. I will talk to you guys later. Remember, comments, leave me comments, questions, your experiences. Mwah.